All right, I posted a reel yesterday talking about how Red dropped their prices by 30%. And a lot of people asked me why I thought they did that. Look, I don't work for Red, so I don't actually know, but I can make a few hypotheses. Back in April, I put out a couple of videos voicing my concerns about Nikon buying Red. And of course, those videos were met with some heavy opposition, but lo and behold, here we are just a couple months later. And now you can buy a brand new Red Komodo X for $3,000 less. So in just a matter of 4 months, the camera decreased in price by 30%. And this is not some flash sale, this is a permanent decrease in price. A lot of people are just saying, oh, you know, Red's getting scared, they're doing this because of the new Canon C400, the new Blackmagic Pixis camera, and there probably definitely is some truth to that. But at the same time, I do believe that that's also a way to shield our eyes by the reality of what's actually going on. Let's just back up a little bit and let's all remember what actually happened back in April. Nikon acquired Red by 100%. And a lot of people online were calling it a partnership. The problem is 100% is not a partnership. 100% is ownership. So if I buy your house for 100%, that means you now own 0%. And I can do whatever I want with the house that you used to own, including putting it on the market for 30% less. Now here's the thing, I understand that on the surface, this is a good thing for us as consumers. We all get the Red camera, we get to save some money, all is well. But in actuality, in my opinion, the Red name is just not worth what it used to be, which ultimately means the cameras are also not worth what they used to be. The company and the name itself, Red Digital Cinema, have dropped in value. I mean, we literally see this happening before our eyes. I am predicting they will continue to drop in value because this is what happens when you sell out. Think about companies like Leica or ARRI and their status within the industry. There's no magical wizard behind the curtains who controls all these companies and appoints which ones are allowed to be the leaders of the market. They built their own legacy. Leica started as a one-man band, just like Red did, just like Apple did. Could you imagine what it would look like if Apple would have let a company like Sony acquire their company by 100%? Things would look a little different today, I can definitely predict that. If Harley-Davidson today allowed a company like Yamaha to acquire them by 100%, there would be so many Harleys sitting out on the curb being sold immediately. And the stocks of Harley would plummet because die-hard Harley riders are all about that legacy, the heritage, what it means to own and ride a Harley. And the same is said for Leica, and the same is said for ARRI. And before this whole Nikon takeover, the same could be said for Red. But when you bail out, the legacy of your company dies. So I am predicting that we will see Red cameras such as the Komodo and the Komodo X pop up at your local Best Buy, maybe even your Target. Because in my opinion, these Red cameras are no longer pro level. They are now consumer products because they can no longer hold their value. Because just think about it, a camera you just bought 4 months ago for $6,000 can now only be sold for $4,000 if you're lucky. That is a 34% depreciation rate in just a couple of months. Meanwhile, I can take this Leica lens and make more money on it today than what it originally cost 40 years ago. Even Leica cameras, they're digital cameras, retain their value over time. And it's because of the legacy of the company, the net worth of the actual name. And sure, Red cameras never held their value the way that a Leica does. No camera company can say that, I understand that. But they certainly never dropped in value this rapidly. Let's just go on Facebook Marketplace right now and search for Red Digital. And if you don't see results on your end, just change your location to Los Angeles. Now look, we'll try our best to retain ourselves and not make any impulse buys here because the prices are low. So look at this, this just popped up yesterday. It's an 8K Red Helium with only 197 work time hours on it being sold for $5,000. And they're everywhere. Just look, so many Red cameras for very attainable prices. Consumer prices. I mean, these are Sony prices, let's be real. Way more attainable than just a few years ago. All right, now on the flip side, let's search for ARRI cameras. Very different price range, right? Now there are some cheap classics in here, but you gotta remember the Alexa Classic is from 2010. The Red Gemini was released in 2018, originally sold for $24,500. Now being sold on MPB for less than $4,000. And again, as with Leica, red never held their value the same as an ARRI. I recognize that. I definitely acknowledge that we have always called red the iPhones of the camera world. I mean, we all know they've built a reputation of cannibalizing their own products. But even still, a few years ago, it was impossible to find a used red for less than 15 grand. Just look at all these prices. And I'm totally aware of our current economic crisis, okay? I'm not ignorant to that. But still, you don't see these ARRI cameras being dumped online for less than 10 G's unless it's 14 years old. There was a time in Hollywood where all it used to be was red and ARRI. And to me, this rapid drop in value is significant because in my opinion, red lost their legacy. Now, I don't know why this Nikon acquisition happened. I don't know what kind of circumstances Red found themselves in or what caused all this. I'm sure this is not what they wanted, but who knows? Either way, the reality is Red went from being a Harley to a Kawasaki. There is one golden rule amongst all artists, and that is never be bought, never be sold. And Red Digital Cinema broke the #1 rule. Therefore, they lost their status.
Bring it! What? We like it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.